Hello and welcome to Ziggy's Cactus House. Now what we have here is some Aeoniums, and if any of you watch a certain program that's on Friday nights on one of the main channels, you may have noticed a bloke on there that stands outside his potting shed, and he's usually got a few of these in the background. Now there's a reason for that. These are fine outside during the summer. They're quite happy, but in the winter they need to come in. They don't like frost at all, and although some people say you can keep them alive in unheated greenhouses, it's not worth the risk. They are a bit tender. So brief history, these used to be thought of as tree sempervivums, that they were a type of big sempervivum, but then about the same time we discovered that llamas aren't really big sheep. Someone worked out they're a separate species on their own, and they're now classed as Aeoniums rather than tree sempervivums, which they're still called tree sempervivums in some cases. They come from the Canary Islands, Madeira and a few other small islands in the Atlantic, also from North Africa. The jury's still out as to whether they started off in North Africa and then made it to the islands out in the Atlantic, or whether it was the other way around. No one's quite sure, I don't think. But on a more local note, these ones were, some of you remember, a present from my friend Lindsay from the Cactus Society and from the local nursery. She bought me some cuttings round back in the summer. Some of you remember I planted them into pure grit, and some of them actually set in the grit and I had to redo them. They've all rooted marvellously now. They're in compost with just a grit dressing on the top, and they're really quite solid, so we don't need to disturb those. Those will be fine. These ones, this is the top of this one. I won the first one I ever got in the raffle, and some of you may remember I decapitated this one. Nice sharp knife, always clean the knife if you're going to cut the cactus or succulent. And I literally cut the top off of that one and left it. This one was rooted up into pure grit, and it's got a lovely root system when I repotted it, and it's doing fine now. And as you can see, the stem has sprouted several of them, which I can take off as cuttings next year when they've got a bit bigger probably. If you just left it, they flower, they're monocarpic, they die once they've flowered. So at the time I only had one of these and I didn't want to lose it. And now I've mentioned this, other people have given me Aeoniums, which is great. And these ones down here, these are a present from Roz from the Cactus Society, a friend of mine, who gave me these at the last meeting. This one's Aeonium Velour, which is a lovely little thing. We've already had a look at these in a previous video, but this is the first dedicated Aeonium one I'm doing. And this one is Aeonium Schwarzkopf, which sometimes is spelled Schwarzkopf, means black head or black hair. Lovely green bits with black on the edge on that one, more black around the edge of that one. This one I don't think she was sure, she thought it was a Schwarzkopf, but it's got a bit more green in the middle, so I'm not quite sure yet. So I did notice these two are fine root wise. This one hasn't actually taken, so what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to put it into some pure grit, and I've learnt from my experience putting them into pure grit. It's very difficult once you put it into grit to know whether you've put it into grit or whether you've got some compost under there and it's just top dressing. So I've actually labelled this grit with the date on for today, so I know in future that isn't in compost, it's just in grit. And so I should be taking these in over winter. They'll be kept out of the way of the frost, so we'll give these a slight watering, not too much over winter obviously. Nestle them into some grit so you can make some roots over winter, and hopefully repot them in the spring. And I shall repot the other two into 50/50 is Iggy's #1 composting for it. So I prepared a couple of small pots there, which I'm not going to do on camera because I forgot to put any little bits of crock in the bottom, so the compost will just come straight out. So that's the end of that one, really. But that's about it for my Aeoniums, apart from the fact these rock in the wind. If you got them outside and it gets windy, wedge them somewhere or put them somewhere safe, because the wind's going to have them over. There's a lot of sail area there, and this unfortunately got blown over in the wind, and it's odds law. It's one of the old pots I've got. It's a Sankey pot, which I didn't want to lose at all, so I'm going to get some resin glue, take this out, and I'm going to cramp this up with some resin glue and glue the pot back together, because he's a lovely old pot and I don't want to lose that one. So it wouldn't happen if I put it in a brand new one, it would have been fine. That's the way it goes. But, anyway, thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you in the next video.